Marvel Rivals currently features 37 unique characters to choose from, but some are obviously better than others. I decided that it only makes sense to rank these characters, but this ranking is like nothing you've ever seen before, because I used a complex formula to calculate each character's placement. Here's the formula if you're interested in looking at it deeper. There's obviously a lot going on here, so feel free to pause the video if you need to take some more time, just really take everything in, because we're gonna jump right into it.
Woo! I never miss!
We'll start out with the worst character in the game. At number 37, we have Hawkeye. Hawkeye is objectively the lamest character in all of Marvel Rivals. A headshot does 320 HP of damage, meaning he can one-shot every duelist and specialist, except for Wolverine and Mr. Fantastic. This is extremely frustrating, as just poking out behind a corner can spell instant death. Hawkeye's Ronin Slash requires precise timing to reflect projectiles. But Hawkeye's ultimate is also a huge load of crap. It creates projections of your character that don't move, but Hawkeye can do full damage to these projections. This ult lasts way longer than it feels like it should, and can just be so annoying. Hawkeye can pop it, and if you're not behind cover, there isn't much you can do. Playing Invisible Woman is a good strategy, as she can counter Hawkeye's ult with her own, making it so that Hawkeye can't see any of the projections. They took the most honest Marvel character, just a guy and his bow, and made him the most dishonest character in the game. I hate playing against Hawkeye, but I feel even worse playing as him. I feel like I'm cheating, and that's why Hawkeye is the worst character in the game. Hawk to the bottom spot on this list. Yeah, that's it. Iron Fist is the most annoying character in the game. Once you get jumped by him, it seems like there's absolutely nothing that you can do except to accept your fate. He has some of the most insane movement in the game. And yes, a character who only has melee attacks does need good mobility. Iron Fist just takes this way too far with 4 jumps. You heard me right, 4 whole jumps. And they don't take too long to recharge. He possesses 2 other abilities where he dashes or kicks forward. With all these movement abilities, it makes it almost impossible to deal with an Iron Fist. I just can't stand playing against Iron Fist. And I also don't have fun playing him. Some will complain that it's Lin Lee Iron Fist and not Danny Rand Iron Fist, but let's be honest, how many of you knew Iron Fist's name before Rivals came out? That's what I thought.
Plasma burst!
Black Widow or Widowmaker. Obviously, you can draw tons of connections between Rivals and Overwatch, but Marvel Rivals builds on the groundwork Overwatch had laid out. Black Widow has a sniper like that of Widowmaker, but unlike Widowmaker, she has no alternate fire. Instead, she can swap out her sniper and beat enemies with her batons. This is way more interesting than the alt fire of Widowmaker, as the batons add a lot to her kit and allows for players to be more creative in how they play her. She's also just bad. Natasha definitely has the worst ultimate in the game, and at the end of the day, Black Widow is still a sniper, so she has to be at the bottom of our list.
Hell unleashed!
This might be my first controversial character placement on this list, but at the 34th spot, we find Hela. Now before you go and flame me in the comment section, just hear me out. I don't think Hela is bad. I actually think she's pretty good. I just don't have any fun playing her, as I find her movement to be pretty basic and not too interesting. Astral Flock allows for Hela to dash forward, but it's fairly slow and difficult to control. Now, I'm probably just stupid, but I have no idea why this kept happening to me. Please help. She has a stun, and she's got some sticky bombs, or I guess sticky thorns in this case. All of these abilities don't really feel too unique at all or special, and it just makes playing Hela kind of boring. The Goddess of Death uses her ultimate by the same name to rise above and launch Nastron Crows down on the enemy team. It's a cool ult, so that does help her raking out a little bit, but yeah, I just find Hela boring.
Fear Magneto!
I have no idea how to play Magneto, and that's really the only reason I put him so low. I'm just not good at him at all, and there's never really been an instance where I choose him. I will say Magneto is a lot of fun to use when Wanda's on your team, because then you get a sweet powered up sword, which is loads of fun to use. He's got a weak Ryan Shield and Zarya bubble. Metal and Iron Bulwark are good. I just never seem to use them at the right time. Yes, it's a skill issue. If I want to play a shield character, I'm just gonna play Doctor Strange. He's just so much better. Also, the aiming on his ultimate feels off. At least his melee is a sword though. Swords are cool, so that definitely brought him up a little bit.
It's Spider Time!
Penny Parker is up there as one of the most annoying characters in Marvel Rivals, but she does have some positive attributes. Like her name is really funny. But it's her bionic super nest that can absolutely wreak havoc on the battlefield. Just look at this game I played. We were getting destroyed by the other team, but in the end, I found the perfect spot to set up the bionic super nest, and there wasn't anything that the enemy team could do. Now, this was a lot of fun, but I have to admit that this can just be incredibly broken and annoying. If I was on the other team, I would definitely be throwing my controller at my monitor. I also feel like there was a huge missed opportunity with Penny. She's the diva of Marvel Rivals. They're both young Asian women who fight in big robot mechs. They should have totally made Penny pop out of the suit once it gets destroyed and just run around with a little web shooter or something. Would have been really cool. But seeing how the Overwatch community treated Diva, I don't blame them for keeping the 14-year-old inside of her mech. I actually think that's a really good call. Yo, they got Junkrat in this game. Squirrel Girl is just the Junkrat of Marvel Rivals. Both of their primary weapons fire a projectile that bounces around. She's really good to play if you're bad at the game. She looks exactly like this one girl I had class with last semester, which is just really freaking me out. The squirrels are a fun gimmick, but like, she has Squirrel Bomb and a big jump. Those are her only two moves, and like, she has a refresh as a third one, but that doesn't really count. Squirrel Stampede is a fine ultimate, but it's nothing too special. But it's pretty easy to avoid if you're not stupid. Just shoot it. Overall, I feel like Squirrel Girl is just missing something, as she doesn't do too much and is for babies. Psylocke was a character that I originally had lower on this list, but after playing her some more, I decided that she had to move up a little bit. Even if it was only like 2 places, it's still something. I'd also like to say I generally enjoy every character from this point on in the list. There's just some that are clearly much better than others. Psylocke has a sweet sword that she never uses. Why do they keep doing this to sword characters? It's just like Ganon in Smash. He didn't even use his sword until Ultimate, and even then he only uses it in a handful of his moves. Why won't Sakurai just make Ganon a sword fighter? There's already so many others in the game, what's one more? Actually, if there's more sword fighters in the next Smash, I'm gonna lose my mind. They need to cut at least half the Fire Emblem characters. There's way too many of them. Okay, sorry I got a little sidetracked there. Back to Psylocke. She only uses her sword in 2 abilities, and one of those is her ultimate. The other is Psyblade Dash, where she just dashes forward and does damage with her sword. I don't care about the little crossbow she uses for her primary fire. She should just use her sword because swords are awesome. Give her like one more dash with her sword and just run around hacking, it would work perfectly. Not hacking like Sombra though, like hacking like you hack a sword, like you hit it. We don't need, she already can turn invisible. That's enough.
Judge, jury, executioner!
The Punisher is a character you find in every hero shooter. He's the character for the COD players. He runs around with an automatic rifle and a shotgun that both can light up the battlefield. While playing as the Punisher, it really does feel like you're playing a Call of Duty game. I don't think that this is a bad thing, but there's just so many more interesting characters to choose from. His zip lines do make for great mobility, but I think it would be cool if more characters could use them. Like you could have Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and really any other like militaristic character utilize his zipline. The greatest thing that the Punisher brings to the table is the return of Bastion Turret. Oh, how I've missed you, my old friend. It can come in handy, but it also is pretty easy to take out and avoid if you're on the enemy team. His ult is pretty good though.
Your powers are mine!
Loki, the God of Mischief, is the first support on our list. And yeah, I'm saying support. I'm not using strategist and vanguard and duelists or whatever they call them. Like, who cares? They probably just did that so they can't get sued. We all know what I'm talking about when I say support, DPS, or tank. That's what everyone says. Deal with it. Loki feels underpowered to me, and I just feel like that playing any other support hero is the better option. His primary fire that heals teammates and damages enemies does 40 healing and 30 damage respectively, and it just doesn't feel like enough for me. It's pretty easy to be taken out by a flanking DPS if you don't have your option to teleport away. Loki does create clones or illusions of himself that will heal allies and spawn a healing circle around them when you use regeneration domain. If you manage to get a few of these illusion Lokis out, it's actually pretty useful and does a lot of healing. The problem is that they just stand there and are pretty easy targets for the enemy team if they're not stupid. Without the illusions, Loki becomes pretty useless and is not really fun to play. Now Loki does have Echo's ultimate, which is pretty good, as long as you copy the correct character, but that can prove difficult when everyone is close together in a team fight. I like Loki. I'm just really never gonna choose him.
We are Venom!
Venom has so much damn health. You'll be this close to taking him out, and then boom! Symbiotic resilience. Venom is now at basically full health again. This makes Venom incredibly annoying to deal with because he just won't die. Venom also just feels like a worse version of Spider-Man. Like, he's only got one swing that has an 8-second cooldown. He just feels very slow and immobile, which isn't how I believe he should feel. Now, I do understand he's a tank and they don't want to give him too much movement, but I just don't think Venom feels right being slow. His ultimate also doesn't do anything. I don't think I've ever gotten a kill with it. Venom is just slow, and I don't like slow characters that much.
Behold, that child!
What could be better than a hot Russian with a big sword? Well, 25 other things, but Magik is certainly still a fun character to play. She just suffers from the fact that the majority of the characters in this game have ranged attacks while she does not. Now, she does have great movement, and I still have a blast playing her, and definitely with her team-ups with Psylocke and Black Panther, she's just a great pick. Yeah, she gives them Tracer Rewind, which is really useful, but it also does feel a little slow to start up. Nothing feels better than teleporting around the map and slicing up enemies with a big sword, but most of the time I just die before I can get close to anyone. There are just too many characters in this game with good mobility, including Magik, that it makes a melee character a little more difficult to play. Also, who is this guy?
By the eye of Agamotto!
Doctor Strange is kind of a strange guy. He's basically just Reinhardt with a ranged primary fire. As tanks go, I like him pretty well, but I'm just not the biggest tank guy. His shield is great for protecting yourself and your team. It's definitely good at blocking Iron Man's ult.
Maximum pulse!
Honestly, that's what Doctor Strange does best. Annoying Iron Man. His cloak of levitation allows for Strange to jump up and get right into the face of the enemy Iron Man. His ultimate freezes enemies using the Eye of Agamotto, which is oddly similar to a Mei ult, but it's not as annoying. Overall, I believe that Doctor Strange is a good pick, definitely if there's an Iron Man on the other team.
I am ready to put on a show!
At the 24th spot on our list, we find Luna Snow. Now, I know this might be kind of a hot take. A lot of people love Luna. I'm just not good at her. She just feels like a worse version of Lucio, as they're both famous musicians and heroes. Like, come on, Marvel. Just copying Overwatch, are we? That was supposed to be a joke, but Luna Snow actually debuted after Overwatch released, so maybe they did actually copy Overwatch. Lucio just feels cooler, which is ironic as Luna uses ice shards for the majority of her attacks. Like Lucio, Luna Snow uses her musical charged abilities to heal her allies, but she can't wall ride, so Luna's ultimate allows her to switch between healing and damage boost, which is pretty similar to how Lucio can switch between healing and speed boost. Luna does differ from Lucio because she has to actually shoot her allies to heal them, and she has a stun that is incredibly annoying. Overall, Luna Snow just feels like a glorified Lucio clone. Wolverine is loads of fun, but it's way too easy to overextend. Feral Leap has Wolverine leap straight into battle, and it's a lot of fun to use, especially when you hit an enemy dead on. The only problem is that you're now left all alone in the middle of the enemy team. Now, if I was good, I wouldn't do this, but I'm not good at the game, so I often die a lot when I play Wolverine. I really enjoy hacking and slashing the enemy team with his claws until I die, so I had to put him somewhere near the middle of the pack. I feel like a lot of Wolverine's moves feel the same, which isn't really the fault of the developers at all, as Wolverine really just only has his claws. They should have actually made it so you just can't die as Wolverine. That would be, pretty lore accurate. I don't know. The best part of Wolverine has to be his team up, where Wolverine gets launched into battle by the Hulk or the Thing. You can even play catch with him. It's a lot of fun.
Hulk smash!
Speaking of the Hulk, he takes the 22nd spot on our list. The big green guy is really good at throwing big mean punches. Playing as the Hulk really takes you back to playing with those big Hulk hands and just running around the basement, smashing everything in sight. Hulk feels very similar to Winston, as they both have moves that let them leap and bound around the map. Hulk is just always in Winston's ultimate form, as he only ever uses his fists. Hulk's ultimate is just a buffed up version of him, but it's not that good. It's pretty easy to avoid because of how slow he is. I will say it is really awesome just to slam an enemy into the ground, which clearly is a reference to the first Avengers movie. When Hulk is defeated, he turns back into Bruce Banner in a very diva-like way. The little twink has his little Gamma Blaster and his little Gamma Bomb, which effectively do nothing. He's really easy to kill, which makes perfect sense for the little twink he is.
Tremble before Bast!
Black Panther is our third character in a row whose primary fire is a melee attack. All of these characters are fun, but I think it's just pretty clear that I believe these characters' melee focus makes them worse. That doesn't mean they're not fun, they just kind of suck. Black Panther also has two moves that feel very similar to each other. Spirit Rend and Spinning Kick both have Black Panther lunge forward and attack the enemy. And yeah, Spinning Kick attaches a Vibranium mark that grants bonus health and an ability refresh when an enemy is hit with Spirit Rend. The problem is that for most players this doesn't matter. They have no idea it does this. I had no idea until I did research for this video. So for most players, these two moves are basically the same, but I do like Black Panther's ult with the big panther. It's cool.
Assemble!
Captain America is the fast-running super soldier of Marvel Rivals. Sound familiar? This does make Cap a more versatile tank, as he can get around much faster than any other tank in the game. This allows for Cap to get back in the fight right away. But I've also found that it makes it really easy to get too into the fight. His speed and shield gives you the confidence to rush in and take on the enemy team, but in reality his shield is weaker than I'd like. I also find that I get stuck in the shield form and I'm slow to get back into throwing punches. I'm just kind of bad, whatever. The shield throw is on a 10-second cooldown and requires 2 consecutive primary fire hits to throw again. This presents a problem at lower level play where players' accuracy is lower, and this means they won't be able to use Cap's iconic shield throw as often and as effectively. I would argue that the shield throw should be the most important part of his kit, and its lack of use is why Captain America takes the 20th spot on our list.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
The Goddess of the Storm is a force to be reckoned with, as she commands the battlefield from far above. She tosses gusts of wind at her enemies, and every 8 seconds, she can launch a bolt of lightning. I do think that this was an odd choice to have wind be her primary fire instead of lightning. I feel like when you think of a storm, you think of lightning, not wind. I mean, wind still exists in storms, obviously, and Storm can't control all weather. I just feel like lightning makes more sense. And she's a little lacking in abilities as she has weather control and Goddess Boost, but Goddess Boost just enhances weather control. Now, I do quite like weather control as an ability, as it's more of a support-based ability, but on a damaged hero. Storm has an area of effect similar to that of Lucio, that either grants a damage boost or speed boost to allies within her field. This is by far my favorite part of her kit, as it promotes playing with your team like a support hero, but you still do get to play DPS if that's what you're all about. Storm's ultimate is also fun as she summons a large tornado, which reminds me of some other tornado wielding heroes.
We are undefeatable!
At the 18th spot on our list, we find the healer Mantis. Mantis taps into her mental abilities to use the power of plants to heal and inspire her allies. If you're good at Mantis, she can be absolutely busted and completely carry a whole team. Mantis's whole kit revolves around consuming life orbs to use abilities. These abilities allow her to heal allies, inspire allies, and give herself a damage boost. These are all great abilities, and you can recharge these orbs by landing critical hits with your primary fire. So if you're good, you can be constantly using all of your abilities. But if you're not good like me, playing Mantis can become somewhat of a struggle. She's still good, don't get me wrong, but it's just much harder to be an effective support when she can't use her abilities as often. Now, Mantis does have a sleep ability, which can be really annoying to get slept by, but I find that most of the time after I use sleep, one of my teammates will immediately shoot them, which in turn wakes that hero right up. I'm definitely undecided on if it's more annoying to get slept or have your teammates completely negate it. Scarlet Witch, the Moira of Marvel Rivals. Scarlet Witch is a lot of fun though, as she doesn't feel nearly as annoying as Moira does. You don't really have to aim much while playing her, which is definitely a benefit to new players who don't know how to aim. No joke, I had a whole comp game where our Punisher just ran around shooting the ground the whole time. They might have actually been able to do something if they were playing Scarlet Witch, who knows? Also, like Moira, Scarlet Witch has an ability where she can enter a phased state and quickly move around. This is obviously very useful for pushing enemies or backing out. Scarlet Witch also possesses a stun sphere, but honestly, I've never found it too useful or annoying. Arguably, the best part of Wanda's kit is her ultimate, where she just dive bombs the enemy team and releases a huge burst of energy. It's a lot of fun to use, but also not too annoying to deal with as the enemy team, as long as you can aim.
Supernova!
It's time that we finally arrived at our first member of the Fantastic Four. All four of them are loads of fun to play, but the least fun of them has to be Human Torch. Human Torch requires an actually pretty high skill level, and his primary fire requires you to be good at aiming. Johnny Storm requires actual strategy to his game, which is a vast contrast from his fiery personality. You have to use Blazing Blast to create flame fields and then connect them with Pyro Prison. When used properly, you can absolutely dominate the objective and deal loads of damage. The key is actually using it properly. Plasma Body allows for Johnny to enter an accelerated state, but he just moves slightly faster. I wish that the speed boost was more on par to Iron Man's. Human Torch does have the best team up in the game, Storm siblings. Human Torch and Storm can both use their ultimates to combine into one absolutely devastating tornado of creation. It's actually insane, but it's also so much fun.
Maximum pulse!
One of the most popular Marvel heroes takes the 15th spot on our list, and that hero is Iron Man. Playing as Iron Man feels exactly right. I honestly believe that Iron Man was made nearly perfectly. He has two primary fires, a repulsor blast, and a unibeam. Both of these attacks feel perfect to the Iron Man character. He can then overload his armor, which enhances all of his attacks. And while usually I find these enhancing abilities to be kind of lame, I do believe that it makes perfect sense in this case. Tony Stark would and has had upgraded modes that are built into his suit. Hypervelocity lets you fly around just like he does in the movies. I only wish I could do this all the time, but I understand why I can't. Iron Man has one of the most iconic ultimates in the game with Maximum Pulse. It's actually named Invincible Pulse Cannon, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the destruction and devastation that it can cause to the enemy team.
Jervis, get ready to clip this shit.
This is real firepower!
At first glance, one may think that Rocket Raccoon is the Baptiste of Marvel Rivals. With his two primary fire modes of Bombard and Repair, Rocket can switch between damaging opponents and healing allies. The problem being that Rocket players only heal. This doesn't make him not fun, it's just that he doesn't do a lot of damage. Did you see the guy who climbed the competitive ranks only playing Rocket? Guess what he didn't do? Any damage. Rocket might be the most supportive support of the game, as healing is what he's clearly best at. Now, it's still a lot of fun to do damage as Rocket, definitely when you're teamed up with Groot, you just don't see it too often. Because of this, I believe that it's more appropriate to call Rocket the Mercy of Marvel Rivals. Rocket has 2 dashes and the ability to climb walls, which allows for the healer to get around the map very quickly. His Battle Rebirth Beacon allows Rocket to provide armor packs and resurrect a downed ally. I love Rocket because of how support-based he is. I think it works really well for the character as he's the guy who's always fixing things.
Disappear!
Sue Storm is really good. She has tons of great abilities, but before we talk about all of them, I think we need to talk about how bad they made Invisible Woman. She's definitely the baddest baddie of the Marvel Rivals roster. The developers definitely knew what they were doing. Sadly, as I was writing this, the whole Seattle development team got laid off. The video game industry really seems like a great place to work, and these developers did a fantastic job on this game, and I just wish them all the best of luck and for some change to finally come to the video game industry. I don't want to get too into it though, so let's get back to talking about the Invisible Woman. I love her primary fire. It's so damn good. The way it can hit multiple allies and enemies at the same time allows for you to do massive heals and damage simultaneously. She can launch enemies outward or inward using force physics, which is great for clearing or contesting objectives. But most importantly, she can use her ultimate to create a field of invisibility. Sue Storm is an all-around great support that can do great healing and damage, but she excels at controlling the map. Groot is another hero whose abilities revolve around controlling the map, but obviously, unlike Sue Storm, Groot is a tank. Groot uses his walls to help protect allies and take control of the battlefield. But Groot's walls also have special effects when Groot is near them. The Thorn Lash wall deals extra damage to enemies that are hit by Groot or his allies, and the Ironwood wall heals Groot when either him or his allies do damage. I only wish that Groot could heal his allies as well. It would be really cool if his Spore Bomb would heal allies if he hit them with it. Groot is a walking plant, so the ability to heal would make perfect sense and would make Groot an even more versatile tank. Also, Fortnite.
Don't mess with the Amazing Spider-Man!
The Amazing Spider-Man is absolutely perfect. Swinging around the map feels incredible. The game captures the feeling of being Spider-Man like no other game ever has. Okay, maybe Spider-Man PS4 did it better, but it's pretty impressive how he's able to work so well with 36 other characters. Peter is as quippy as ever as he throws punches and uppercuts enemies into the air. Spider-Man shines at taking down these flying characters, which is really great to have as you see a lot of Human Torch, Storm, and Iron Man being played. He can use Get Over Here to pull enemies towards him, or pull himself towards them if he's recently shot them with a spider web. The problems come when you realize how much of a menace Spider-Man is. Maybe J. Jonah Jameson wasn't entirely wrong. As someone who plays a fair amount of support, Spider-Man players are the absolute worst. They fly around the map and then complain when you can't heal them. Like, bro, you're halfway across the damn map. What do you want me to do? We finally arrived at the top 10 Marvel Rivals characters. In the 10th spot goes to none other than Mr. Fantastic. The Stretchy Man is loads of fun to play, as Reed's powers are implemented perfectly. I had my concerns when Mr. Fantastic was announced, as stretchy powers always seem like a hard thing to perfect, but I was pleasantly surprised when he finally came to the game. His primary fire is Stretch Punch, where Reed stretches out to punch enemies. It's a perfect cross between a melee and ranged attack that feels perfect for Mr. Fantastic. He can also stretch out and pull an enemy towards him, or grab another and slam the two against each other. A fun move, but not his best. Mr. Fantastic's best move is Flexible Elongation, or as I like to call it, Fantastic Backshots. This move is really good as it grants you and an ally a shield, but if thrusted onto an enemy, the Fantastic Backshots deal damage. What makes Mr. Fantastic so interesting is that he feels more like a hybrid DPS and tank. Reflexive rubber makes him look like that, but it also absorbs damage before launching it back. It protects himself and his team, which is definitely more of a tank role. To add to this tankiness, Mr. Fantastic builds up elasticity as he uses moves, and when he reaches full charge, he turns into a tank for a brief period of time. He can only use his primary fire, but it does more damage, and Reed gains a massive 450 bonus health. Reed Richards is the perfect combo of DPS and tank, and that's why he managed to crack the top 10.
Armed and dangerous!
Again. Those words echo through my mind as I relive the terrors of the Winter Soldier. Bucky's ultimate can be absolutely devastating if you can hit your shots. He leaps through the air in an almost majestic way and brings down the full power of his mechanical arm to deal earth-shattering blows. With a very Cassidy-like blaster, he can deal massive damage, and it even has a sick-ass name, Rotor Stern. A name that strikes fear into the eyes of the enemy team. But nothing strikes more fear than that metal arm. An arm that's done unspeakable things. This arm can dash forward to deal devastating blows or shoot out an electric charge that slows and knocks enemies out of the sky. But Winter Soldier brings a much welcome addition to the new hero shooter, Roadhog Hook. Bucky pulls enemies towards him, which allows for him to deal devastating combos. James Buchanan Barnes makes you feel like the former assassin as you rain down terror again and again.
Behold the God of Thunder!
The God of Thunder hammers his way into the 8th spot on our list. There's just something about Thor that's loads of fun. Rising above the enemy team and smashing down in an explosion of lightning feels right out of the movies. Mjolnir thrusts Thor into battle where he bashes enemies till his heart's content. The joyous fun of swinging Mjolnir can only be beat by the thrill of throwing your hammer at over 100 miles per hour. I only wish I could throw it more, but I have to save up my Thor Force to enter an awakened state. Yes, it's called Thor Force. Awakening Rune allows for Thor to gain bonus health and launch lightning bolts at anyone who dares get in his way. This is easily Thor's most fun ability, as you really feel like the God of Thunder when you're all powerful and lightning is spewing out of you. Spewing is definitely not the right word to use there, but I think it's a funny word, so I'm not changing it. Now, you may want to use more abilities, but your Thor Force won't charge up fast enough. Well, do I have a solution for you? Introducing Lightning Realm, the only ability that allows Thor to quickly recharge his Thor Force. It's so easy to use that new players do it by accident. Simply place down the Lightning Realm near some enemies and start swinging away. For every hit enemy, you gain 1 Thor Force, allowing you to get right back to dashing, throwing, and awakening all over the enemy team. Get your own Lightning Realm today and never run out of Thor Force again. Namor, the King of the Seas, launches into battle with the force of a massive tidal wave. Using his connection to the sea and some animal friends, Namor quickly rises to the top of our list. At the 7th spot, Namor brings a lot to the table that I just love so much. He can summon Monstro Spawn, which I guess is just a fancy word for octopus because that's what they are. Don't lie to me and say these are some original creations by Marvel because they're just damn octopuses. But these octopuses act like turrets to annoy the enemy team. Now they only last for 8 seconds, just like you. But if you have a Luna on your team, I believe it's possible to always have an octopus out, which means constant free damage. As a former Torb main, you may think that the octopuses are the only reason I like Namor, and you would only be partially correct. I like other things about him too, like his trident. Definitely the left click. It's called Wrath of the Seven Seas. That's just awesome. All that said, my favorite part of Namor's kit has to be his ultimate, Horn of Proteus. Namor summons Giganto, a big-ass whale, and launches it right into the enemy team. In a game full of advanced tech and mind-boggling magic, I think whale might be the funniest move in the game.
Against the world!
Prepare for trouble and make it double. Cloak and Dagger are here at the 6th spot on our list. The Pyramithra of Marvel Rivals gives us 2 characters in one with the ability to seamlessly switch between the two. Using the powers of Shadow and Light, Cloak and Dagger provide loads of healing and damage as they play off each other like 2 sides of the same coin. Cloak and Dagger are the perfect combo of support and DPS, but you should spend most of the time on the support side. Dagger is much more valuable to the team, while Cloak should really only be used in certain circumstances. Cloak does do more damage than Dagger, so he's great to use when Spider-Man is trying to tear up the backlines. Terror Cape also blinds enemies that it hits, so using it can create confusion and allows for you to have more time to survive. Dark Teleportation is easily Cloak's best move, as it can be used to protect your team from large attacks. Nothing feels better than hearing Maximum Pulse and quickly tossing the move out to save your whole team. But the best way to save your team is to spend most of your time playing Dagger. Her primary fire, Veil of Light Force, and Dagger Storm are all great healing abilities. Anytime I play Cloak and Dagger, my healing numbers are just through the roof, and I definitely have carried some of the worst teams to victory. The funniest part about Cloak and Dagger is how quickly their ultimate charges up, and it does 250 healing a second, so it's pretty much impossible to die when you're in the healing field. But what if you do die?
Born again!
Adam Warlock uses his quantum magic to heal the souls of his fallen allies, and he has personally touched my soul, which is why he takes the 5th spot on our list. There's something almost magical about playing Adam. You truly feel like this unwavering epicenter of cosmic justice as you unite your team together. Adam is truly a team player as he bonds with the souls of his allies, which grants healing over time, but he also takes some of the damage that his allies receive. The true definition of taking one for the team. Avatar Lifestream is Adam's main way of healing, as he can cast quantum magic to heal allies, and when he does this, he also heals himself. That's all Adam can do to heal. His primary fire does pretty good damage, and he can charge it up in a very Zenyatta-esque way, but what makes Adam Warlock so great is that he has 2 lives. You overextend and die, just fly back to your team and come back into the battle. A Black Panther kills you in the backlines? Nope, you're right back up. Adam's second life makes him a truly valuable asset to any Marvel Rivals team, especially because he can team up and pass this ability onto Star-Lord and Mantis. But there are times when allies have fallen and enemies are taking a quick advantage. That's when Adam can unlock his full potential and use Karmic Revival to revive any fallen teammates within his radius. This truly makes Adam an absolute game changer and very deserving of being in the top 5. The legendary space outlaw and leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord, uses his legendary moves to dance his way into the 4th spot on our list. Star-Lord is just plain old fun. The feeling you get while flying around the battlefield and listening to some music is unmatched. Maybe that's why so many people suck at Star-Lord, they're just feeling too awesome. Star-Lord feels exactly how I believe he should, and that starts with his primary fire. The element guns release quick bursts of energy before they need to be reloaded, which is very true to how Star-Lord fights. Now, the constant need to reload could be annoying, but Star-Lord has 2 uses of Stellar Shift. This ability has Star-Lord flip away and reload his element guns. And with how often you can use it, you rarely have to actually reload. He can also use the rocket boosters on his boots to fly away or into battle, but that is far from his best move. Star-Lord's best move requires no skill, and that's what makes it so much fun to use. Blaster Barrage is essentially a mini Reaper ult, but that's not the only reason that I love this move. I believe that this move has the best animation of any move in the game. I get major Into the Spider-Verse vibes, and that's just so cool. Star-Lord's ultimate, Galactic Legend, is also really good and loads of fun to use.
The moon haunts you!
I'm not bad at the game. Khonshu just told me to miss all my shots. I just wasted my ult. Well, Khonshu told me to use it. What else am I supposed to do? Moon Knight is definitely the best DPS character in the game and is also the most hilarious. Bro has a respawn line about waking up in a mental hospital. It's absolutely insane. I love Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Jake Lockley. They all hold a really special place in my heart. Because just like me, Moon Knight is crazy. I only wish that I was the tortured avatar of an ancient Egyptian god. But playing Moon Knight is the closest I can get to that. Moon Knight is the definition of random bullshit go, as that's how it feels playing him. The crescent darts are Moon Knight's primary fire, and they are perfect as they bounce off enemies and Ox. Placing Ox can greatly increase the damage done, and it can definitely make it easier to hit enemies. If you're not good at aiming, I do have to say I think it is better to aim at the enemies in the Ox range rather than aiming at the Ox itself. Moonblade is another ability that interacts with the Ox, and it's just a big charge that feels really satisfying to hit. He's also got a 3-hit melee combo that launches enemies slightly up, and I love that he uses his weight batons instead of just punching. Moon Knight also has 3 movement abilities. His Rising Leap, which is a double jump, Night Glider, a glider, and Moonlight Hook, which is a grappling hook. All 3 of these movement abilities are really useful, but also somehow feel very Moon Knight. He has all of these abilities and movement options, but at the end of the day, he just really wants Dracula to pay up. Oh yeah, and Khonshu does help out with his ult, Hand of Khonshu. This ult is really funny as it either does nothing or everything. Jeff the Land Shark slides right on into the second spot on our list. And I know some of you might disagree, but just hear me out. Jeff is so damn cute. How can you not love this guy? He has the funniest ultimate in the game, and it's not completely broken. Yes, I know it can be annoying, but it's also really funny. I love jumping to my death with half the enemy team in my belly. And half the time I can't even get to a ledge, so I just end up getting gangbanged by all the enemies. But that's not the only thing that I love about him. I love the ability to go underground and swim around the whole map. It's loads of fun and really great for getting around. You can even swim up walls. Joyful Splash provides 150 healing per second, which is enough to keep anybody up, and his Aqua Burst does good damage and feels really good at taking out all types of enemies, even flying enemies like Human Torch and Iron Man. Jeff's healing bubbles add another great set of healing to his kit, but my favorite part has to be his passive, Oblivious Cuteness. He takes less damage on critical hits because the other heroes can't dare hurt the little cutie. Now, I originally had Jeff at the number 1 spot, but here's the thing.
It's clobbering time!
The Thane instantly smashed his way right into my heart. As a tank, he really speaks to me more than any other tank does. It feels great to finally have a hero that I can feel this instant connection with, and he's just so much fun. Ben Grimm's rocky exterior surrounds his large heart that oozes with passion. The Thane is constantly ridiculed for his appearance, but he still deeply cares about the people of Earth. He rapidly punches forward, but his alt fire, Stone Haymaker, is so much better. It's absolutely devastating, punches through shields, and gives 50 bonus health. The noise Stone Haymaker makes is so satisfying. I just can't get enough of it. Yancey Street Charge feels just like a classic Ryan charge, but it's really good when you instantly slam into the enemies. It's so good because it prevents the use of movement abilities. This makes the Thane really good at protecting his healers, as he can prevent pesky heroes like Spider-Man from getting away. He can also jump towards allies and provide damage reduction, which is great for getting out when you are pushed up too far. But it's also great for encouraging you to stay with your team and to protect them. The fact that the Thane isn't affected by any knockback is so awesome and true to the character. The best has to be when he uses his ult and he yells, "It's clobbering time." It stuns all enemies in range and just feels so satisfying. I love the Thane. Well, we did it. We reached the end of our list. Thanks for watching. There's a lot going on with Marvel Rivals. Definitely tons of lore. Let me know if you want to see more Rivals content. And just a final reminder that this list is 100% accurate and features no biases at all. So you should have no reason to disagree with me. I appreciate you all.